Is the Tesla Model Y the iPad on wheels? Let's talk about it. How's it going, y'all? It has been Aqua. I am sitting in my Tesla Model Y 2021 long range. I've had this car for almost a year now, and I had this question in my mind: is the Tesla Model Y, or just Teslas in general, are they basically iPads on wheels? And what the hell does that mean? Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. So I've given a lot of rides to people in my Tesla Model Y, and a lot of them were first-time Tesla or EV riders. And when people get in my car, the first thing they typically notice is this gigantic screen, which is a 15-inch touchscreen that does actually look like an iPad, right? Some people have actually gotten in my car and asked me, how did I get this iPad to stand up here? Because they didn't know this is the actual screen on the Tesla. And think about what the iPad actually is. It's a gigantic touchscreen with a bunch of apps. It has music, it has cameras, and all the controls and stuff are on the one big screen on the iPad. And it's very similar to the screen experience on the Tesla Model Y. There's a ton of settings on here, and you can customize your car as much as you want. For example, the name of your car. So my Tesla is named Pizza because, you know, pizza is delicious. But yeah, the interface on here I think is really beautiful. It's very iPad-like in that it's simple, but it's also, you know, kind of complex in that there is a learning curve when you first get into the system. Like when I first sat down in this car, I was like, I have no idea how to do anything on here. How do I even put this thing into drive? How do I move the car? I mean, there is a little bit of a learning curve. Well, actually a lot of learning curve. But once you get used to it, this gigantic iPad screen, or just gigantic Tesla screen, it makes sense. Like everything is nicely delineated here. Controls, we have pedal and steering, we have charging options, autopilot, and with each one of these, it's kind of like an iPad where there are, you know, these sections over here. You can go through lights, display settings, your trip settings, navigation, etc. And it even has these profiles. So I have one set to Beans, that's me, where it saves all of my settings. And then if somebody else gets in the car, they can save their own settings to a new profile. And that's amazing. And there's also some customizable options, such as down here, you can actually drag different apps and stuff down here if you want. You can rearrange them like this if you want, or you can delete them. And that's kind of iPad-like too, right? Like the home screen. I mean, this is basically the home screen on the iPad, but on the Tesla. When you're in park, there's even these games and stuff that you can play, like Sonic the Hedgehog. But then there's also apps like Netflix, Hulu, Disney, YouTube, etc. But as you can see, it's a little bit slow. This is not the latest version of the Tesla Model Y. It's a 2021, so it still has an Intel processor. So there is a little bit of lag, like this is taking several seconds just to load the YouTube app, and it's the same for Netflix and Hulu and stuff. But once it loads up, it's basically a giant iPad. Like it has all these videos, so you can easily, you know, start a video and then it starts playing on the screen. And in this way, yeah, it's kind of a giant iPad in that it's a 15-inch iPad. I think it's actually a little slow because my connection out in the outlet malls kind of sucks. But yeah, the experience of interacting with these apps feels like a giant iPad. So it's really cool to have everything on this one screen, because as you can see, there's like no buttons almost anywhere other than here on the steering wheel. And then back here we have the Stoke on the left, and then the Stoke on the right where you like shift gears and stuff. And then you have like window controls over here. But then literally everything else is on the screen. We have the AC controls down here. You swipe up from the bottom and you can move around the AC so it can go like on your legs or on your face or on your head or whatever you want. I really like this actually. This interface looks really cool, and it's actually very, very functional. It is a little distracting though sometimes if you're in the middle of driving and you just want to like really quickly move something over or something. And then when you're driving, you can easily see how fast you're going over here in this readout right there. And you can see your car here. You can see if you're near any other cars. And then you put it into park. You can open the trunk here. You can open the front. Like everything, all the controls, even opening the glove box, like right here. You have to go into there on the screen to open your glove box. So this is not for everybody though, because for some people, this may actually freak people out to have everything on the screen, everything relying on this one interface. Like that may freak some people out legitimately, and I totally get that. It has freaked me out a little bit, but I can say that after, you know, almost a year of driving this car, the screen has never malfunctioned to the point where the whole thing just went into complete disarray or something. It hasn't completely shut off or anything. Knock on plastic here, but so far so so good with the interface. It's been very solid after almost a year. So where the Tesla Model Y is not an iPad on wheels is it doesn't use Apple CarPlay. It doesn't have a way to interface with Apple CarPlay on the screen. So is that the end of the world? Do I miss CarPlay? I might actually make another video about that topic to dive a little bit deeper, but basically, no, I don't miss CarPlay. I did at first. I definitely was a little like weirded out with the fact that I couldn't use Google Maps. I couldn't use Apple Maps. I couldn't use any other apps. There's no direct way to show what's on your iPhone on the screen in the Tesla Model Y, or really any Tesla. Apple and Tesla have a kind of history, or I guess Elon has a history with Apple, where I think because they're competitors, like they don't want to integrate too much of Apple stuff into Tesla's, like whatever, corporations, capitalism. And like I said, at first I did miss CarPlay, but now I don't really miss CarPlay. Like most of the features that I need, messaging, calling, stuff like that, I can interface using Bluetooth on my phone to do music even, and I don't really miss CarPlay that much. So it's not a huge deal to not have CarPlay, in my opinion, on the Tesla Model Y, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Another way the Tesla Model Y is not an iPad on wheels is the operating system in the Tesla on the screen. As good as it is, as well designed as it is, in my opinion, it doesn't have a lot of flexibility in terms of adding apps. Like there's no flexibility to add apps. It doesn't give you that option. So you're basically stuck with all the apps that are in the system when you first are on there, like all the stock apps that are on there. And the selection of apps, as you can see here, is pretty limited overall. Just like radio, Spotify. You can add Tidal onto here. The theater part has several options for apps, but they're just like really slow. There's also this streaming app, which is basically Tesla's version of like Pandora. But other than that, there's no way to add more apps onto here. Like you can't add third-party apps onto this operating system. What this can do is fart though. You can fart over here. You can fart in the back. I don't know why people love this so much. I guess it's kind of hilarious. I don't know. Then there's also the entertainment section here, which has a bunch of these other things like Mars. You can actually see a map of Mars on here, which is kind of fascinating and kind of interesting. But other than that, you know, the apps are pretty limited. You're limited to what's on this car, and there's no way to add extra apps. So in that way, it's not like an iPad, where the iPad has its own app store. You can download, you can buy apps. I think that would be a really cool thing that Tesla could add eventually, is an app store where you can actually add third-party apps into this interface and customize it more. And I think my top app that I would want is a different map, like GPS app on here. Like when you're in the Tesla, you're basically forced to use the Tesla's GPS navigation system, and for the most part it works really well, but when it messes up big time. I've gotten stuck in really bad traffic a bunch of times using the GPS system on here, and it doesn't reroute me in the best way sometimes. So it's good, but it's definitely kind of flawed. But yeah, it would be so nice if we could use at least, you know, the proper Google Maps or Waze, especially in this big interface. Like the screen is so beautiful. Why not have a bunch more apps that you can utilize? It definitely feels like a closed system, and it has really high quality stuff, but at the same time, it's not very malleable where you can't really like add anything to it. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is the Tesla Model Y, or really any Tesla, basically an iPad on wheels? It's kind of a conceptual weird thing to talk about, but I'm gonna go into the outlet mall now to try and find some shoes. Wish me luck. I really need some good trail shoes now that it's like not 5 million degrees here in Texas outside. But yeah, like and subscribe down below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will see you in the next video.